All right. So you're looking for a confidence boost, right?
Yeah.
Specifically when it comes to speaking English.
Yeah.
Well, we've got you covered. We're going to break down this YouTube video
Okay.
from Speak English with Class, and it's called English Podcast for Learning English. How to Be Confident English Leak Podcast.
Okay.
And what's cool about this is the hosts, Aaron and Evan,
Right.
they get real about their own struggles with confidence.
Yeah.
Imagine even podcast hosts get tongue-tied sometimes.
That's true. I mean, it's something that everyone experiences to some degree, right?
Totally.
It's just part of being human. But
Yeah.
what I found really interesting about this video was how they define confidence.
Okay.
They really go beyond that surface level, you know?
Yeah.
It's not about being the most extroverted person in the room or
Yes.
always being the loudest or anything like that.
Yeah, they emphasize it's more about just being comfortable in your own skin.
Exactly.
And trusting your abilities.
Yeah, and being willing to take risks, you
Mhm.
know? Like, even if it means you might make a mistake. They talk about confident people being willing to speak up in class or try new things, even if they might mess up.
Mm.
And they use this really interesting example
Oh, yeah, what's that?
about people deflecting compliments on their English.
Right.
Like when someone praises their English skills, they'll say, "Oh, no, my English is terrible,"
Yeah, right.
instead of just saying thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I've heard that so many times, and I always wonder, like, why do people do that?
Yeah, it's almost like they're afraid to accept
Yeah.
that they're good at something.
Yeah. Is it a cultural thing, do you think, or maybe just a lack of self-awareness?
I think it's probably a bit of both, you know? I think there are definitely cultural factors at play. In some cultures, it's seen as boastful or arrogant
Right.
to accept compliments too readily.
Right.
But I also think it's tied to some deeper psychological mechanisms, you know?
Oh, interesting.
By deflecting compliments, we might subconsciously be trying to protect ourselves from future criticism
I see.
or the pressure to live up to that compliment.
Right.
But by accepting praise gracefully, we acknowledge our efforts.
Mhm.
We allow ourselves to feel good about our achievements.
Yeah.
It's a subtle shift, but it can have a big impact on our self-perception.
Absolutely. So let's say you're listening to this and you're thinking, wait, do I even lack confidence?
Right.
This English Leap podcast, they lay out some signs to look out for.
Yeah, they do.
You know, things like worrying too much about what other people think,
Mm.
avoiding eye contact, or, you know, that inner voice constantly second-guessing everything you say.
Yeah, that inner critic can be so loud.
Yes.
And it often feeds on overthinking past conversations, you know?
Yeah.
Like replaying moments where we felt we could have done better.
Right, replaying those embarrassing moments over and over again.
Exactly. And it just keeps that cycle of negativity going.
So how do we turn down the volume on that inner critic and pump up our confidence?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. Aaron and Evan have some practical strategies to share, and I think this is where the rubber meets the road.
I'm excited to dig into those.
Me too. They stress the importance of action over perfection.
Okay, so what do they mean by that?
So instead of waiting until you feel perfectly ready to speak
Yep.
English, they say, just start doing it.
Okay.
It's about taking small steps, even if it feels uncomfortable at first.
So instead of like aiming for a flawless conversation right off the bat,
Right.
maybe just focus on like ordering your coffee in English
Exactly.
or leaving a short voicemail.
Those little actions build momentum and they start to chip away at that fear
Right.
that can hold us back.
Okay, so action over perfection. I like that.
Yeah.
And this kind of ties into their next big point,
Yeah.
which is embracing progress over perfection.
Absolutely.
They remind us that everyone makes mistakes, even native English speakers.
Which is so important to remember, right?
Yes.
Because striving for perfection, especially when learning a language, it's just a recipe for frustration.
Yeah.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
And instead of beating yourself up for every mistake you make,
Right.
celebrate each step forward, no matter how small.
I love to celebrate each step.
Yeah.
So maybe instead of focusing on speaking perfectly, focus on getting 1% better each day.
Exactly. Whether it's learning a new word, having a short conversation, or just practicing your pronunciation for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Those small wins, they add up over time.
Okay, so we've got action, we've got progress.
Mm-hmm.
What else can we do to boost our confidence when speaking English?
Well, Aaron and Evan talk about the power of positive self-talk,
Okay.
which is a concept that's deeply rooted in cognitive behavioral therapy.
Right.
It's about recognizing those negative thought patterns that we all have
Oh.
and consciously choosing to replace them with positive affirmations.
So instead of saying, I can't speak English well,
Yeah.
Try saying, I'm learning and I'm improving every day.
Exactly. Yeah, it's about reframing those negative thoughts,
Yeah,
and
right.
building a more supportive internal dialogue.
Okay, I see.
And cognitive behavioral therapy,
Yeah.
CBT,
Mm-hmm.
it actually provides a structured approach to doing just that.
Oh, okay, interesting.
It helps us identify those negative thought patterns and challenge their validity.
Right.
And over time, we can actually rewire our brains to think more positively.
Wow. So it's like retraining your inner critic to become your inner cheerleader.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
I'm curious, though, does just changing our self-talk really have that much impact?
Well, research suggests it does.
Yeah.
Studies have shown that positive self-talk can reduce anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
improve performance,
Mm.
and even boost our immune systems.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Wow.
When we speak to ourselves kindly and encouragingly,
Right.
we create a more positive emotional state,
Yeah.
which in turn can have a ripple effect on our thoughts, behaviors,
Right.
and even our physical well-being.
That's fascinating. It's like our words have actual power.
They really do.
So how do we start putting this into practice when it comes to speaking English?
Well, Aaron and Evan talk about the concept of controlled exposure,
Okay.
which is a technique often used in therapy to help people overcome phobias and anxieties. The idea is to gradually increase your exposure to the things that make you nervous,
I see.
but in a controlled and manageable way.
Okay, I see where they're going with this. So instead of jumping into a conversation with a native English speaker right away,
Right.
you might start by talking to yourself in English at home.
Exactly.
Okay.
Just get comfortable with the sounds of the language.
Mm-hmm.
You could then progress to texting a friend in English,
Right.
watching English language movies with subtitles,
Yeah.
and eventually joining a language exchange group or even attending an English conversation class.
So it's like building a ladder, and each step gets you a little closer to your goal of speaking confidently.
That's a great analogy. I like that.
It's funny, we often think of confidence as this internal thing. Aaron and Evan also highlight the importance of body language.
They do, and it's such a crucial aspect of communication.
Yeah, for sure.
They point out that our posture, our eye contact, even the way we use our hands, can influence how confident we feel and how others perceive us.
So slumping over and avoiding eye contact might actually make us feel less confident.
Exactly. There's a fascinating field of research called embodied cognition,
Okay.
which explores the connection between our physical bodies and our mental states.
Mm-hmm.
Studies have shown that simply adopting a more confident posture,
Right.
like standing tall with your shoulders back,
Yeah.
can actually trick your brain into feeling more confident.
So it's like fake it till you make it, but with a scientific basis.
Exactly. Yeah, there's real science behind it.
I remember reading about power poses a while back.
Uh-huh.
Is that kind of the same idea?
Absolutely. So
Right.
Amy Cuddy, who's a social psychologist,
Oh, yeah.
she did some groundbreaking research on power poses, which are essentially postures that convey confidence and dominance.
Okay.
And she found that holding these poses for even just a few minutes
Right.
can actually lead to hormonal changes
Wow.
that make us feel more powerful and less stressed.
So if we stand tall and make eye contact,
Right.
we might actually start to feel more confident even if we're initially nervous.
That's the idea. Our body language sends signals not only to others, but also to ourselves.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's like we can hack our own confidence levels
Yeah.
by simply changing our posture.
It's a powerful tool.
This reminds me of something else Aaron and Evan talked about.
Yeah.
The importance of surrounding ourselves with supportive people.
Right. They emphasize that the people we spend time with can either lift us up or drag us down.
For sure.
If we're constantly surrounded by negativity and criticism,
Yeah.
it's going to be tough to build confidence in any area of our lives, let alone speaking English.
So if you're trying to improve your English, it's important to find friends, mentors, or online communities that offer encouragement and support.
Absolutely. Seek out people who celebrate your successes,
Yeah.
who offer constructive feedback,
Right.
and who create a safe space for you to practice and grow.
I love that.
And if you haven't found that supportive community yet,
Yeah.
remember that you can also be your own cheerleader.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to be our own best friends
Right.
until we find those external sources of support.
Exactly. And that's okay too.
And finally, Aaron and Evan leave us with a really important reminder.
Yeah.
Don't take yourself too seriously.
They emphasize the importance of being able to laugh at our mistakes.
Because let's face it, everyone makes mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when learning something new.
All the time.
Remember that time I accidentally told someone I was pregnant?
Ugh.
instead of embarrassed.
Oh, no.
Oh, the looks I got.
I can only imagine.
I think we all have those oops moments.
We do. We all do.
It's how we react to them that matters.
Exactly. And instead of letting embarrassment or frustration derail us,
Yeah.
Aaron and Evan encourage us to see the humor in those situations.
It's like, hey, I messed up, but it's not the end of the world.
Right?
I can learn from this and move on.
And often those mistakes become our best stories.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
add color to our experiences and remind us that it's okay to be perfectly imperfect.
I love that. So what does all this mean for you, the listener?
Yay.
How can you take these insights and apply them to your own journey of building confidence in speaking English?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it really makes you think, right?
It does. It's like even though we're focusing on speaking English here,
Right?
these principles, they apply to so many areas of life.
Well, for sure.
Whether you're giving a presentation at work,
Right.
going on a first date, or just trying something new, having that inner confidence, it can really make a world of difference.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. What's one small action you can take today to put these strategies into practice?
Yeah, that's a great question to ask yourself.
Maybe it's striking up a conversation with someone in English,
Right.
even if it's just a brief exchange.
Or maybe it's finally signing up for that online English course you've been thinking about.
Yeah.
The key is to just take that first step
Right.
and keep moving forward.
Remember progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
As we've learned, those oops moments, they're actually valuable learning opportunities.
They are.
And often they make for the best stories.
That's so true. I completely agree.
So keep practicing, keep learning, and keep believing in yourself.
Yes.
You got this.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep diving deep.